Hello, today is a good day. The Prague DLC came out and I'm on lunch break and I'm gonna lay eyes on it for the first time on day one. For once, you know? So I have a good plan for us today. Gonna of course discover the spot with a bird's eye view to see what it looks like. In the replay editor we're gonna fly around and see what it has to offer. And after that we're gonna recreate some clips from a video released a few years ago by Primitive, who went to Stalin Plaza to do a demo. So actually let's start with that. Let's check out the clips that I want to recreate first, so you can see a little bit where I'm going with this video before we actually step into the map and explore it for the first time. So yeah, I was discovering a little bit more about Stalin Plaza and all that because I hadn't heard of it as much as you would expect before hearing about the DLC, and I came across this video. So Primitive went to Stalin Plaza and held their demo, and Robert Neal just absolutely destroys it. A big part of the team was present and they just absolutely kill it, but it's filmed from the crowd with a phone, alright? So what I'm planning on doing today is taking these clips of Tiago Lemos and recreating them in session, but imagining what the perspective would be from the filmer's camera, right? Because you see there's a filmer filming them throughout this video, but we don't see any of that footage. So we're gonna imagine it in session and we're gonna recreate it with all of our technical expertise and all of the creative potential that Session's replay editor gives us. So we're definitely gonna be doing this varial heel 5-0 to manual all the way to nowhere and kickflip out on flat. I love how everything about this screams I haven't planned that far ahead. So anyways, we also have this giant 5-0 up the ledge, that's crazy, and a front crook that he pops out. So that's gonna be fun. Plus, he's goofy. So everything that we see in this clip is switch for him, and I'm goofy. So it's all switch for me too, in game. So that's gonna add to the fun of this video. So Tiago is an interesting skater to recreate in session because he pops high, alright? It's kind of what he's known for. He brings that board up with him, right? He sucks the board up into his legs. So that means in session you gotta play with the board to body distance, right? The B2BD to reach those high ledges that lots of skaters wouldn't even think about skating, right? So that's gonna be fun. But before that, let's take a look at the map. So witness me witnessing this map for the first time. There it is, Prague. And here we are. So just based off of my memory of that particular video, it looks pretty much like what we were seeing in the video, right? Just a bunch of DIY things set all willy-nilly all over the place. This is exactly where they held the demo. Okay, good. They have this ledge. This is one of the tricks that I want to recreate today. And they have a bunch of other stuff. So let's do something that we rarely get to do as vanilla session players. It's discover a map, bird's eye view for the first time. What does this look like? Wow, look at that. This is a nice view, a nice bird's eye view, trees everywhere, it's fall, and I'm recording this in the fall, so good, warms my heart. All right, what do we got? A nice flat ground atop the plaza, right by the metronome, so you can play games of skate solo by yourself, because multiplayer ain't a thing around these parts. I don't know much about Prague, honestly. I didn't really hear or see much of it in real life skating before actually having heard about it because of the DLC coming up. What little information I have about Prague is that it's entirely a cobblestone city. So in fact, in a Reddit comment, I guessed that it would just be a Stalin Plaza and Metronome Park DLC, and looks like it's pretty much that. We got some really nice ledges for some lines here. This kind of stuff I like. Bars set up in any which way that you have to sort of be creative. I like this kind of stuff right here. Just a kicker to a bench and over a gap. I love this stuff. Oh, see this as well. A kicker up the rail and gap onto the top of the stairs. What else? What else do we got? Little gap to rail here. We got a huge... What is this, like 10 or 11? 11 flat 11 giant kink rail. This is something that Nigel would skate. So we're gonna have to dress up as him and skate it eventually. Oh, look at this. This, in real life, is something that I would love to skate. Like a Euro up with a rail. I would love to skate something like this in real life. That's amazing. And this too, ledge gap to rail on a sort of goalpost. This is cool. This is nice. It kind of feels a little bit like a warm-up spot, you know, where you would practice your technical tricks here. You would mess with your stats a little bit to try to perfect your look on different height ledges. I like this. I like this a lot. Hey, we got the Lord vessel over here. We're gonna be able to warp from bonfire to bonfire now. Sick. And there's a second one right over there. Metronome is going. We're definitely gonna be seeing people doing blunt tray flip out on this thing and doing some transition skating in the Lord vessel itself. That'll be fun. Actually, wait, let me settle this right now. Let me take a look and see if we can skate the Lord vessel. I would be disappointed if not. Okay, we're gonna have to do the object dropper bug. So you get into your object dropper, you grab a piece of wood, piece of plywood, put it under your guy, and bring it up. And that way you can fly around the map and go wherever the heck you want. So, yeah, baby. Alright, let's see if the collision is a little bit weird here. Nah, okay, so we're gonna have to like fix it again with the object dropper. So we need to take 2 back from wherever the heck we left them. And put 1 in here. And another one without changing the height. And making sure that we're covering the entire circle. Alright, and that makes it skatable. Whoopsie. Butterfingers. Okay, we're doing transition in the Lord vessel. Sick! There you have it. You saw it here first, people. Check out this picture, man. See what I'm talking about? This is sick, alright? Okay, I'm getting hella sidetracked. Let's get back to sightseeing. What else do we got? This map is just nice to like figure out creative spots or combos and just overall do some quality time wasting. Good old-fashioned gaming, right? At least that's what it does for me, this map. Honestly, if this place is in real life the way it is in this game, I would love to see this place. I would love to go here. I wonder how many of these objects are actually movable in the object dropper. Like this piece of wood, can we move it? I'd be surprised, but stranger things have happened. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get right back here where they held the demo. So as you might have noticed, I took the time to configure my skater to look as much as I could as Tiago Lemos, because he's not in the game, but that doesn't matter. We have almost the exact look that he was wearing that day. So let's take care of the ledge tricks first. And first things first, let's configure our stats. So we're clearly not popping high enough. A good way to configure your stats is take care of your B2BD first. So board to body distance, alright? Figure out a board to body distance that looks good. Oh, they put in the numbers in the stats menu. So now we can communicate accurately on Reddit. Good job. See, they paid attention, contrary to popular belief. So I was saying, configure a board to body distance that looks good first, and then adjust your high pop height accordingly, alright? So that you barely make it onto the ledge or comfortably make it onto the ledge. That's how you're gonna make a trick look realistic with the animations that come from your stats. So Tiago Lemos pops high like there's no tomorrow, so the board to body distance needs to be relatively low. Let's see how a 5-0 would look from here. I don't like how many times I have to push. Let me just adjust this real quick. Push force, bring it up to 16, and do a double push. Okay, so still not looking tight enough, still doesn't make it look big enough. So let's try even lower board to body distance. Let's bring it all the way down to like 2 to just exaggerate and see what we're working with. Double push. Okay, let's see how that looks real quick. See, we're popping very high over here. We're like doubling the ledge's height, but the position looks good in the air. So this is where you want to get back into your stats menu, and now you adjust your high pop height accordingly. So we were way too high. Let's bring it down to like 5, and let's see if we can make it onto the ledge properly. Alright, looks good. Now he didn't pop out of that 5-0, so we can just afford that little drop. Good. So we're gonna save that replay. And let's take care of that front crook. Let's get the front crook pop out. No, I popped way too high. Oh, that was smooth. That was smooth looking. Alright, let's just take a look to see how it looks real quick, if it's all good. We just comfortably make it onto the rail. We have a reasonable pinch and angle, and we have a nice little pop out at the end. Perfect Tiago stuff. So save that replay, Tiago 2, and let's get that varial heel now. So we're definitely gonna have to adjust our height and our board to body for this. So let's take into account that he does a kickflip at the end of his manual, and if we had to translate his body's position into board to body distance, I would say that's relatively high. So let's do that. Let's do a high board to body distance, something like 13. You don't want to go into hippie jump levels of B2BD, just bring it up to like 13 or 12 and that should be fine. And the high pop height might need to be adjusted as well. Let's give it an extra 3-4 ticks and let's see how we fare with that. Okay, and the kickflip. Let's see how the kickflip looks out of a manual. Okay, good. It looks like it almost touches the ground the way he did in the video, so that'll be good enough. Now let's just get a sick angle on this varial heel. Let me just take another quick look on how he did it. So he popped hella high, and his board to body is actually very low, I would say, for the varial heel, but very high for the manual. So I could start changing board to body distance mid manual, but for the sake of brevity, let's just do a regular old varial heel to manual, alright? And let's maybe roll up from a little bit farther as well. Again, this is Switch, so I'm not exactly used to it. I don't skate that much Switch in this game, and that's my bad. I'm gonna have to work on that, but whatevs. Oh, alright, cool. So we locked it in, looks pretty good. We just need to make sure we lock into a manual as well. Almost had it, almost had it. See, the thing is, as soon as you exit the ledge, you have to let go of your back foot, and before you hit the ground, you have to be holding your stick in your manual position, right? So you have a very, very small time frame in which to do that, especially since he doesn't pop out of his 5-0, so that leaves us no room for error. So let's just grind it out, so to speak, until we get it. I keep touching though, and that's annoying. So a few particularities about this is you want to pop towards your skater's backside, so you want to make sure that when you're popping, you're doing the sideways pop thing. And also, if you flick your varial heel normally, notice how the back foot end of the board is up high, and that's no bueno for a varial heel into a 5-0. So you want to flick it upwards, and that's going to make it go a little bit more at the proper angle for your 5-0, alright? And I keep touching on these attempts, man, so I already reduced my gravity a little bit, but that's gonna make the kickflip look a little bit wonky. So let's see if we can do something with the grind pop height. All right, let's keep it at like 0 or 1 and do a low pop, a low pop. Maybe we can sort of cheat that way and remove some of the downward momentum coming out of that 5-0, you know. So we definitely have to do a low pop, so flicking your popping stick downwards out of a 5-0. Okay, that looks a little bit more promising. Haha, there it is. Alright, I think we got it. Let's see how that looks. I'm sure that actually looks pretty bad. Oh, looks like my camera died. But the show must go on. So yeah, it looks like we're locking the 5-0 in exactly after the kill zone of the ledge. Anyways, let's see how that looks. Oh, alright, actually not so bad. Okay, we can definitely work with this. Alright, so let's save the replay right at the start of the clip. Tiago 3. And let's get to filming. Replay editor, load replay. Let's start with the front crook first because it is an absolutely standard fisheye shot. So, first things first, let's break out the fisheye and let's make it a wide one since we can afford it. And take my word for it, when you're in the replay editor and you switch to fisheye camera, there is a bug with the field of view, and in order to fix it, just mash your camera type button until you get right back to free cam and it sets the field of view straight. Now, again, this is a standard fisheye shot and I'm not going to explain in detail how I go about it. This is my 5 keyframe technique for filming a standard fisheye shot. If you need more information on how to do this or why we filmed the way we filmed this way, there is a specific video in my channel in which I explain all of that and use real life videos as examples. All right, go check that out if you feel like that would be relevant for you. But let's get started. So the first keyframe is at the very beginning of your clip, and you frame it exactly the way you want it to be framed. All right, so this is where I want to put the framing. That's your first keyframe. Next is against the end of your clip, and you also put in your end framing. Next is going to be the pop and the landing keyframes. So one keyframe at the landing and one keyframe at the pop, and you want to have basically almost the exact same framing as the step before. With montage view off, it keeps the camera in place. Let's put in our keyframe for the pop right about here, and this gives us something that looks like this. And of course, you heard me right, I said 5 keyframes, but now we have 4. So this is basically the fun part of the 5 keyframe thing, where you frame the middle. The birds! I love the birds in this game. So this should be it. Pretty standard. There we go. That's what I figured the filming would look like for the front crook on this clip. We have a whoosh in there going from the right of the screen to the left of the screen during the trick. That's what I call the whoosh. And this is very standard stuff. Don't be so quick to call out the filmer for filming the skater's backside, alright? This guy was filming an entire demo and not just one skater, so he had to cater to the goofy skaters as well. Maybe the session was going on more on this side of the ledge, you know? Lots of things to take into account as a filmer. Alright, on to the next one. Load replay. Let's go for the 5-0. And this is also a very standard fisheye shot. Let me move the sun out of the way so we're not being blinded by the light. Alright, looks good. So here we can see in the clip that actually the filmer was stationed pretty close to the step here. And let's give it a bit of a tilt, but it's gonna be the same thing as what we just did. So one keyframe for the start of the clip, making sure to take everything about the framing into account. One keyframe for the end of the clip. Now we saw that the filmer was closing in to the end of the ledge there, so let's keep that into account as well. One keyframe for the landing. All right, so let's keep that framing almost exactly the same as the end of the clip, but make it a little bit different just to give it a bit of variety. And let's go back to the framing of our first keyframe. So snap to the keyframe, montage view on and off, and now up to the pop right around here, I'd say, and give it a slightly little bit of a different positioning, very, very slight. And here is the little twist that the filmer adds into this. It is not just a purely standard fisheye shot, because here's what that would look like. We're very close to the skater here, alright? So this is something that I covered on my channel in this video, alright? It's called a tight shot. I call it a tight shot, where you're hugging the obstacle, as in you're physically close, but in the middle of the trick, you'd be too close to frame the skater and the obstacle. So you need to back up just a tiny bit and make sure everything is in frame. And that looks like this now. Alright, now that is a clean, tight shot. And I'm very glad we got to see an example of this in the real life demo clip, because I always knew this existed and it was a thing, but I never actually found a video of somebody doing it with their camera. So this is a huge bonus to that other video. Again, very, very clean, with a whoosh from left to right on the screen, and move away and close back in on the obstacle to right away. Alright, on to the last one with the kickflip at the end of a manual that's a millimeter off of the ground. So let's fly on over. So we see that the filmer starts from behind the skater, behind Monsieur Tiago. And the idea here is I didn't start from far enough for that to work properly. So we're going to put the camera here. We're gonna see my double push glitch technique, but we're also going to put the camera a little bit closer from behind the board. And this is where the clip will officially be starting, and we can just ignore what happens before that. All right, so we're behind the skater, we're moving on up to the varial heel, and as we get around the varial heel, the filmer gets right beside Tiago. So we're gonna keep the camera low to the ground, film upwards, Now this is, I'm gonna use my technique for filming a line, right? So one keyframe at the start of the clip, one keyframe at the end of the clip where you think the filmer is gonna be ending. So right around here, this is just a placeholder. We're gonna probably edit it. And if you want a little bit more information about this, I have a 60-second video in which I kind of explain all of these details, as well as a much longer, fully fleshed out tutorial if you want to get into the details of it, all right? But for the moment, let's just go quick about it. So one at the start, one at the end, and we have one keyframe for the middle of each trick. That's the next step. So we get to where the kickflip is, and we film it the way we want it to be filmed. All right, we put the camera where we want it to be, right around here. I know that the filmer was, again, just beside him, not really overtaking him or anything. And now we need to put in a keyframe for every pop and every land of each trick. So right around here, this looks good. We're gonna put in a keyframe anyway, even if we kind of don't need it. It's gonna make sure that all the other keyframes stay in place. We're gonna go to the landing, so where we see the manual. Let's take a few liberties here and maybe close in a little bit on the board for the landing, all right? All right, that'll do it. Now let's go all the way to where the kickflip was. Since this is just a flat ground trick and it's so close to the ground, we kind of don't really need a keyframe for the pop and the landing, so we're just gonna leave it like that. But instead, we're going to do this, all right? We're gonna have the filmer follow the skater just a little bit longer on the timeline. And then from here, we're gonna change the camera position for this keyframe. So you snap to the keyframe, keep montage view on or off, doesn't matter. And don't move on your timeline, just move your camera in space. And let's move away from the skater, tilt the camera. There we go. What's that gonna look like? Okay. We could mess around with it to make it look much cleaner, but let's keep it at that. And as a final phase, what we're going to need to do is just clean up in general. So let's back away from the skater here. And let's put in a keyframe to make sure the spacing is correct. Over here we escape out of frame, so let's change things up a bit. Actually, instead of backing away the whole time, let's just film the feet a little bit from close up. Let's see how that looks. Does it work? What a low kickflip. All right, that was good. The birds. Oh, I would love to get the birds in the clip. All right, that might be the final product. Let's ignore the Mongo push, and let's say the clip would start right around here. All right, and a kickflip. It didn't touch the ground at the end of the rotation like it did in real life, but hey, we'll take it. And with that, I believe we're done. This was nice, guys. This is a nice new addition. This was nice. I like it. Again, I'm gonna be linking in the description all the extra tutorials that you might need to further understand how I put the keyframes in there or why we film skating the way we do, as well as any other videos I might have referenced. It's all gonna be in the description, alright? If you feel like falling down a rabbit hole, you'll have material with which to do that down there. I know I'm gonna be having a lot of fun exploring this map and seeing what it has to offer. It's a small map, it's a nice warm-up map. Like I said, it's nice to have a map in which to properly experiment with your stats and with just the way things look differently from one setting to another. This is that kind of map for me, and I think there's gonna be lots of little nooks and crannies to explore and post shorts about stuff like that. It's all good, it's all good. I'm dang happy about this. Enjoy your Prague, because I know I will. I'm here wishing you patience for your practice, and I'll see you in the next one.